Remember when we talked about Valve and Steam bending the knee to payment processors, letting outside companies decide what games you could buy? Well, it just got worse. The hammer has now fallen on itch.io, wiping out thousands of games and proving that no platform is safe. This isn't just about what game you can play, it's about who truly controls digital content, and the answer should worry you. Just to quickly bring everyone up to speed, last week Steam announced that they would start removing games that violate the rules and standards set forth by Steam's payment processors. This was a big deal because it meant Valve wasn't just deciding what they wanted on their store, outside companies were influencing it. Many gamers and developers were worried about this because it was censorship from third parties, going against how Valve had moderated the platform for years. The new vague rule felt like anything could be next on the chopping block. One of the main groups behind this issue, other than the payment processors, Collective Shout, has gone after much more for much less, like musicians such as Tyler the Creator, and games like Detroit Become Human and GTA 5. Now for gaming, they are showing they control a lot more than just Steam. For a long time, other than Steam, itch.io has been known as one of the go-to places for independent game developers. Devs could put up pretty much anything, and they got to set their own revenue share, often giving itch.io as little as 0 or 10% compared to Steam's 30%. This was obviously a great thing for indie devs, making it very popular for them. It was a place where almost anything went, making it a home for unique, experimental, and sometimes very niche content, including a lot of adult games. A few years ago, itch.io even doubled down on this and said that their platform wasn't for prudes. So, what changed? Itch.io is now facing the same kind of pressure as Steam. Collective Shout launched a campaign directly targeting payment processors like Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal. They specifically highlighted certain games, including one controversial title called No Mercy, which was on Steam and itch.io, as examples of content that they found unacceptable. Back in April, itch.io just listened to the complaints and removed the game from their platform. But if you haven't been watching my previous videos on why this is such a big deal, if you give these people an inch, they will take a mile. So just hours ago, in the middle of the night, itch.io quickly dropped a massive change to the platform, impacting thousands of developers and games. They announced that they had de-indexed all adult or NSFW content. This means these games no longer show up in searches or when you browse the store. A quick comparison of before and after this change shows that now over 17,000 games are hidden. This isn't just 10, 20, or 30 games removed. We're talking about a huge portion of the library. Itch.io apologized for this happening so quickly, saying that they had to act fast to protect their ability to process payments. The situation developed rapidly, and we had to act urgently to protect the platform's core payment infrastructure. Unfortunately, this meant it was not realistic to provide creators with advance notice before making this change, which fits exactly with what we saw with Steam. Collective Shout sent the open letter on July 10th, shared it publicly on July 11th, then Steam implemented their rule on July 16th, and responded to the press on July 17th, all happening within 1 week. So it seems like whatever these payment processors are saying behind the scenes are pressuring itch.io and Steam to act quickly before they back out of their platform altogether. This is obviously a massive threat to these online businesses, essentially forcing them to comply. Itch.io has confirmed that they are doing a comprehensive audit of all the content they delisted to see what's allowed and what isn't going forward. Creators will have to confirm their content meets the payment processor's rules. So, to protect themselves from Collective Shout and the payment processors, they have taken down nearly every single adult game on their platform, which will lead to hundreds, if not thousands of games getting completely banned and removed. Now, if you're thinking, well, these are just adult games, I don't really care. You need to realize this issue is so much larger than just some porn games, from anything with too much violence to anything they simply don't agree with. Even the creators of the Postal series, Running with Scissors, have been vocal about this issue, mentioning how it might affect the yearly Postal Jam events since they are hosted on itch.io, and the new regulations might restrict things too much to the point of ruining your creativity and amount of violence in your games, while also sharing a few memes about this issue. So it's very obvious to anyone paying attention, this isn't just about adult porn games. One thing that is also concerning, with Steam, when they responded, they said they would give developers who were affected another Steam credit, meaning they could upload another game for free. But with itch.io, it seems a lot different. In the takedown notices sent to game developers who were hit and had their games taken down, they said, if you plan to collect money for your content, then you must adhere to the acceptable use policy of all respective payment processors that your account utilizes. Accounts that are in violation of our terms are not eligible for payouts, which I think is a pretty bad move. I understand that they are essentially forced to listen to these payment processors, but taking the money that these games already earned before the added rule just seems a bit wild. So at the moment, Steam only targeted a few very specific types of content, but with itch.io, they have hit thousands of titles, even some with LGBT themes that weren't even pornographic. Also, unlike Steam, itch.io directly called out Collective Shout in their announcement of this change. So this situation is a really bad trend. Payment processors are acting like online gatekeepers. It really doesn't matter if the content is legal. If Visa, MasterCard, or PayPal decides they don't like it, they can effectively shut down a business by cutting off its ability to take money. If platforms as open as Steam or itch.io have to bend to these pressures, there aren't many other places that offer the same reach or the basic tools to sell games and get paid. If you can't process payments, you can't run a business. So now the real people who control what games you can play are these payment companies. So I really wouldn't be surprised if going forward, more people start living on ships. We've seen this kind of censorship happen outside of gaming too. We've talked about how it's impacted other industries from anime, music, to local businesses, billboards, anything you can think of. These people have probably tried to control it. So, what does the future hold for indie games and digital storefronts? Are there really any solutions? Make sure if you are in the US, you pressure your elected officials to back the Fair Access to Banking Act, which addresses this exact issue. It's still currently in the early stages, but it can play a huge part in how these payment processors abuse their power. As gamers, it's important to understand that this isn't just about these Gooner games, or even gaming itself. This issue is huge and is happening all over, so I'll also leave a link to a petition about this issue. The itch.io situation should be a huge wake-up call to anyone who thought that this was just Steam related, and before you know it, it won't just be these adult games getting taken down. Payment processors are now controlling gaming platforms and listening to groups like Collective Shout, who actively complain about any content they don't like. How long will it take for someone to put the payment processor mafia in their place? Visa is now under fire for antitrust and anti-monopoly reasons in Japan, so let's hope next we see some action taken for this censorship issue. Check out this video if you want to learn how big this problem is and why you need to care about it.